In this video, I'm going to show how a random plumbing business all the way in Portland, Oregon can rank #1 on Google and make millions step by step. If you don't know who I am, my name is Munir. I run Vixel Studio and we've proudly generated over $12 million in client revenue through local SEO. We've worked with over 100 plus contractors across North America, and my goal is to help you so that one day we can work together. Let's get right into it. This is going to be the exact same process that we've used for countless other contractors like Capital Homes, who got a 30 times return on their investment with us through SEO, or Toronto Deck and Rail. They're like a deck railing company. They made over $90,000 in revenue in just 6 months with organic SEO. So this is, rest assured, going to work for you. So this is the company that we're going to be talking about. They're called Elite Portland Emergency Plumber. They're a real plumbing company in Portland, Oregon, and we're going to talk about what they need to do. So this is a scan of their current Google business profile. So if you see here, this is their Google business profile. This is a big driver in leads. So if I was to search for a plumber in Portland, Oregon, you're going to see that Google suggests these companies right here. And you're going to see that Elite Portland is actually not in these top 3 right now. And this is actually how they show up. So the results of these top companies depends on where your location is. So I have this tool called Local Dominator, and it's allowing me to show me where this company shows up on that Google Map Pack. This section right here is called the Google Map Pack. And what it's telling me is that if someone was to search for plumber in Portland, in the central of this area right here, it shows Elite Portland. But as soon as you go a bit further out, you're going to see that it's not really showing them anymore. For example, if I was to go to this section on the 6th right here, you're going to see that it shows DNF Plumbing, Cornell, Premier, and so on and so forth. What I could do is I could load the scan of one of their competitors to see even how good someone can even rank in the city. So this is actually the ranking map for one of their plumbers called DNF. And you can see that their central address is somewhere around in central Portland. So what you can see is their Google map ranking looks really different. You can see that across the majority of the city, they're at least top 3, meaning that they get a lot more leads. So we're going to see what is the difference between Elite Portland and DNF that is actually making this difference. This, by the way, would make a huge difference in anyone's business. Like, I can guarantee DNF Plumbing makes millions more in revenue just because they show up like this on Google Maps. So let's compare Elite Portland Emergency Plumber and DNF. And the first thing that's going to stand out to you is just simply the number of reviews. You're going to see that DNF Plumbing has 1,900 reviews, whereas these guys only have 13 reviews. And some people may say, oh, these guys have a perfect 5.0, but these guys have a 4.5. It's not perfect. Listen, when you're looking for a plumber, you're just going to see this and you're just going to automatically trust it just because it's way more than just 13. So you need to focus on just quantity of reviews. Even if you have a few 1-star, it's very normal. That just happens in business. I know they may even be fake, but it's fine. As long as the majority of the reviews are good and you have a lot of reviews, people would just simply trust you more. The next thing that people will actually focus on are the photos. So this photo is a photo of their team and everyone's wearing a nice DNF brand. They're standing outside. And if you just go see the photos, you can see that this looks like a real brand, like a real operation. Whereas when I go to Elite Portland Emergency Plumber, I can see that there isn't actually any photos. And the only thing that is showing me is, I believe, just their address, which is just like a random commercial building right here. So this is not giving me a lot of trust. This is not showing me who the people are. It's not showing me who's going to get into my house to fix my plumbing issue. So automatically, there's just a lot less trust here. You're also going to see that both of these companies have a physical address in Portland. So that's actually good on Elite Portland because you have to have an address on Google Maps if you want to show up meaningfully. Google will prioritize any other business that has a physical address in the area versus some company that doesn't. So it's very, very important that you have this set up. Another thing is both companies are open 24 hours, which is really good. What that means is that if someone was to search at a 10 or 11 p.m. in the middle of the night, Google will always prioritize the companies that are marked as open because they're able to actually service the lead. So this is very good that they have it like this. And that's kind of where it ends for Elite Portland, but you're going to see that there's a lot more things on DNF Plumbing. For example, they have their social media profiles. They have all their products listed. So you can see all the different products that they have with a link to the page on the website. So that's really, really good. And you're going to see that they also have Google Business Profile updates, which is also really good. It just keeps the Google Business Profile active. And then they finally have the description, which also mentions everything they do and where they do it as well. So you can see the clear difference. It's not many things. It's funny, just these things that you can focus on your business, main one being the reviews, will make such a big difference in the operation of your company. It's insane. It's going to generate you so much more money, you don't even know what to do with it. Now we're going to compare the website for Elite Portland Emergency Plumber and DNF. So you're going to see immediately at the top that Elite Portland has a phone number at the top right here, which actually takes a user to call them. This is super important because usually plumbing business is an emergency service, so people want to call you right away. So you need to give those call now buttons, or you need to show them very, very quickly at the top. Same with DNF, they have their phone numbers right here, and they have check out our specials, and they even have a will text you pop up right here. So if someone doesn't want to call, they can just opt in and then try to get someone to call them right away. So you notice one thing that both of them do is they both have a contact form, very easy and high up, and shows up immediately on the page. Another thing that you're going to see is both websites mention exactly what they do at the top. So you have to mention plumbing and HVAC if you also do HVAC, and you need to mention where you do it. So Portland and Vancouver. So you're going to see that Elite Portland also does the same thing. Emergency plumber, trusted emergency plumber contractor in Portland, Oregon. It's very important you mention what you do and where you do it. Another thing you have to do is you need to ensure that all the different tags on the website that people don't see mention the city and the service as well. So I have this Chrome extension called the Detailed SEO extension. You're going to see that the page title is Emergency Plumber Portland, which is good. And the description has Emergency Plumber in Portland as well. So this is really important. And then I can look at their headings as well. So you see here they have one H1 that says Emergency Plumber Contractor in Portland, Oregon. And they only have one H1. So this is set up correctly. You're going to see that DNF Plumbing is probably set up the same way. Plumber in Portland, Oregon, same thing here. And they have one H1. It says you're plumbing HVAC expert. So they could have mentioned Portland in the H1. And you're going to notice that that's the only H1 in the page as well. So far, Elite, Portland, and DNF are pretty good on the website side of things. Another thing that's super important to check is the actual mobile usability of both of these websites. I would also recommend just using both of these websites on your phone manually and just see if both websites work correctly and if you're able to do what you need to do. Most people that are going to go on a plumbing website are on their phones just trying to get one right away, so you need to make sure that it works correctly on mobile. So both websites have the basic setup. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to compare the amount of content that Elite Portland has with DNF. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my tool here called Surfer SEO. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy all the content here, and it's going to give me a score of how well their content ranks. So right now I just pasted in the content from Elite Portland. And you're going to see that right now it ranks a 35 out of 100, and the top guides have around a 64. Now you're probably wondering, what does this mean? So what this tool tells me is it tells me how many words and headings that their competitors have. So it's something that the competitors that are ranking for Plumber Portland, Oregon, usually have anywhere from 2.2 thousand to 2.6 thousand words, and they usually mention these topics as well. So if I was the owner of Elite Portland Contractor, I would find ways to just implement these topics into my page so that it has a higher chance of ranking because the content score is just higher. If I was to take the content from DNF Plumbing and then paste it in here, you're going to see that their score is automatically higher. It's at a 47 out of 100. And if I just do the small change here of just adding Portland here, so their score is a lot better at 47 out of 100. So even them, they have a little bit of work that they could do just to improve this content right over here. The easiest way to add content on a page to ensure that this score gets higher is in the FAQ section. What you want to do is you want to add more and more questions at the bottom of the page because that won't take up that much space. So you can actually write down about all the different topics on the page. The next thing that you're going to notice is that DNF Plumbing, if you look at their menu, have a page for almost every single service that they have to offer. Elite Portland, on the other hand, doesn't have all these different service pages. They write them down quickly right here, but they don't have a dedicated page for each one. Now you're probably going to ask me, when you're like, why do I need all these different pages on the website? Can't people just read this and then know that I offer it? Well, the answer is yes. People will know that you offer it, but you have to treat Google like it's like a dumb child. If you don't have a page talking specifically about that one service, Google won't really assume that you do it. They will prefer DNF Plumbing that has a dedicated page for each service and would rather show them on Google because they put in the work and they have a dedicated page for that service. So what Elite Portland has to do is look at DNF Plumbing, for example, and ask themselves if they offer each one of their services and make all their pages as well. So you're going to see each one of their sub pages has the same thing. They have the name of the service and the city in the main title, and they have enough content on the page to actually rank. So in general, the more pages that you have on your website, the more keywords and just the more you'll show up on Google. So if I look at Elite Portland Emergency Plumber on my tool called Ahrefs, it's kind of like a SEO tool. You're gonna see that they don't really have much organic traffic at all. And if I look at their keywords, they're not really ranking for any keywords either. So it's actually very, very hard to find them right now. However, if I compare them to DNF Plumbing, you're gonna see that the difference is pretty big. DNF Plumbing gets around 4,500 organic traffic a month. And this is from Ahrefs. It's kind of a big estimate, so it could be off by a lot. I can guarantee you a lot more traffic than Elite Portland. And I can look at their keywords as well. So they're actually ranking for 4,000 keywords. And you can see for how many different keywords that they show up for. So they show up for emergency plumber near me. They're currently 12. And the reason that they rank again is because they have the dedicated page for emergency plumbing in Portland. It's the same thing for all of these other services. They have a page for gas, water heater installation, meaning that they ranked 8th for it, meaning that they're actually able to get leads for the specific service. So if I was Elite Portland contractor, I would literally just go through all of the pages that they have. I would go through all of these keywords and I would make or plan all the different pages that I need to make so that I can compete with them, and use a tool like Surfer SEO to make sure that every single page that I make is fully optimized. However, once you make all the pages on the website, you will realize that that is not enough. You can get reviews on the Google Map profile to show up higher on the Google Maps, and you can make all the pages, but the last key thing that you will need are backlinks. So if I go back to my handy tool Ahrefs and I go back to Elite Portland, there's a section right here called backlinks. Backlinks are essentially when any other website on the internet has a link to your website. So if I see here, Elite Portland Emergency Plumber has only 2 backlinks, which is actually very, very little. And they look a bit spammy. You see like that URL doesn't really look very real or legit. Like it doesn't seem like a real website. Let's look at DNF on the other hand. So I can take the URL of DNF Plumbing and I can paste it in here, and I'm gonna make sure that I'm on the backlinks section. So you're gonna see all different types of links. So they're featured on the bbb.org. This is listed as a backlink because they signed up, they have a profile. And usually when you have a profile, they add a link to your website, meaning that you now have a backlink. So if I was Elite Portland Plumbing, I would also sign up for the BBB. And you're gonna see there are tons of good links that DNF has that Elite Portland could also go for as well. This is one that looks very interesting. It's called trident-plumbing.com, and it's a blog about what to do about fruit flies in your sink. And I can actually, with this tool, find that link right here, and it'll also tell me where they're linked. So they're linked from professional drain cleaning. So if I look for professional drain cleaning, you're gonna see that this is the link right there. So if I click on this, it'll actually take me to DNF Plumbing. So if I was Elite Portland, what I would do is I would contact the owner of this website. Maybe I would contact them, call them and say, hey, are you willing to do a collaboration where I write the article for you, and then that article you just link out to my website? Does that sound good? Maybe you'll have to offer some money just so that it's a sweet deal for them. And that's what I would do. I would basically just go through every single one of these links and see if I can try to contact the owner of that website to try to get a link for myself as well. So as you can see, DNF Plumbing has a ton of backlinks. They have 1,300, and usually these links take a while to get. So this is why SEO usually takes at least 3 to 6 months, if not a few years, if you're starting from scratch like Elite Portland. To make it easier for you, what I would do is I would only focus on the do follow links. These are links that actually count to improving the authority of your website. No follow links are basically links to your website that don't improve the authority of your website. So I only want to look at do follow, and then Ahrefs has this handy tool where I can look at non-spammy links. So if I press on show results, I go from 1,300 backlinks all the way down to 461. So now I can see the actual good backlinks that DNF Plumbing has and try to acquire the same thing for my company. So I know that was a lot of information, but this is a high level thing of what you need to do. If you want, I have a full guide called the Ultimate Local SEO Guide for 2025. I need to make a new one for 2026, but the general rules are still the same. You can find this right here, or you can book a call with my team. The first link in the description. You can talk with me and one of my other founders. We can do a whole audit to see where you're at, what your competitors are doing, and how we can bridge that gap and find a budget plan that works for you. If you have any questions, leave them down below. I will read them and answer them, and I will talk to you guys in the next one.